WWE just made one of the most shocking and controversial booking decisions in recent memory, and depending on who you ask, they either pulled off the most brilliant surprise of 2026 or committed the worst creative blunder since the last time they completely mishandled a talented performer. Jordynne Grace. Yes, that Jordynne Grace from TNA defeated Jade Cargill to become the new WWE Women's Champion on the 13th of February episode of SmackDown, and the wrestling world is divided like never before. Some fans are celebrating this as a bold, unexpected move that proves WWE is willing to take risks. Others are furious that Jade Cargill, who's been positioned as an unstoppable force since her debut, just lost her title to someone who literally showed up from another company. And here's what makes me want to scream: this decision has implications that go way beyond just one title change. Before we break down this absolutely insane title change and what it means for everyone involved, I need to know where you stand. Are you excited about Jordynne Grace as WWE Women's Champion, or do you think this was a terrible decision that buried Jade Cargill? Drop your honest reaction in the comments, because this debate is getting heated. Let me set the stage for how this all went down, because the context is crucial to understanding why this is so controversial. Jade Cargill has been WWE Women's Champion for 147 days, and during that time, she's been booked like an absolute monster. Clean victories over Bayley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and basically everyone they put in front of her. She looked unstoppable, she carried herself like a champion, and WWE was clearly positioning her as the face of the women's division going into WrestleMania season. Meanwhile, Jordynne Grace has been tearing it up in TNA, having incredible matches, being one of the pillars of that company's women's division, and generally being recognized as one of the best female wrestlers in the world outside of WWE. But she was in TNA. She wasn't in WWE. So when rumors started circulating a few weeks ago that she might be making the jump, most people assumed it would be a slow build, maybe a debut, some promos, work her way up the card, then challenge for a title. Quick trivia question: how long was Jade Cargill's reign as WWE Women's Champion before losing to Jordynne Grace? First correct answer gets pinned. Instead, what we got on SmackDown was absolutely bonkers. The show opened with Jade Cargill in the ring cutting a promo about how there's nobody left to challenge her, how she's cleared out the entire roster, how she's the most dominant champion in WWE history. Standard heel champion stuff, but Jade was killing it. Then Adam Pearce came out and said, "Actually, we have one more challenger for you. Someone who's been dominating women's wrestling around the world. Someone who's ready to prove she belongs on the biggest stage." And then Jordynne Grace's music hit. The crowd erupted. I'm talking Centimeter Punk returning to WWE in Chicago levels of eruption. Because yes, while casual fans might not know who Jordynne Grace is, the SmackDown crowd in Detroit was full of hardcore wrestling fans who absolutely know her work, and they lost their minds when she walked out. But here's where it gets controversial: this wasn't announced as a non-title match or an exhibition. Adam Pearce announced that this was a WWE Women's Championship match happening right now. No build, no storyline, just surprise, you're defending your title against someone who's never wrestled in WWE before. Question for you: do you prefer surprise title changes like this, or do you think championships should only change hands after proper build-up? Sound off below. The match itself was excellent. These two are both phenomenal athletes and they worked their asses off for 18 minutes. Jade brought the power, Jordynne brought the technical skill and striking, and they told a great story of the established WWE star versus the outsider trying to prove she belongs. There were near falls that had the crowd on their feet, there were innovative spots that showcased both women's abilities, and the intensity was off the charts. But then came the finish, and this is where half the wrestling world started screaming at their screens. Jordynne hit her Grace driver finisher, Jade kicked out. Jordynne went for a second Grace driver, Jade countered into a powerbomb attempt. Back and forth, neither woman able to put the other away. Then, in what appeared to be a miscommunication between Jade and the referee, Jordynne rolled up Jade in a small package, the ref counted 3, and suddenly Jordynne Grace was the WWE Women's Champion. The crowd went nuclear. Jordynne celebrated like she just won the lottery. The commentary team was selling it like the biggest upset in WWE history, and Jade Cargill looked absolutely shocked, like she couldn't believe what just happened. And that shock that might not have been acting. Here's where the backstage reports get spicy, and I want to stress that these are reports from people who claim to have knowledge of the situation, not confirmed facts. According to multiple sources, Jade Cargill was not happy about this finish. Allegedly, she was told going into the match that she was retaining the championship, and the decision to have her lose was made at the last minute by people above her pay grade. Quick question for the conspiracy theorists out there: do you think this was always the plan, or was this a last-minute change? Give me your theory if those reports are true, and again, if that would explain a lot. It would explain why Jade looked genuinely shocked at the finish. It would explain why her post-match facial expression seemed more hurt than anything else. It would explain the reports of heated discussions backstage after the show ended. But let's talk about the implications of this decision, because win or lose, plan or audible, this title change creates a mess of questions that WWE is going to have to answer. Jade has been positioned as the woman on SmackDown for months. She was clearly being built for a big WrestleMania match, probably against someone like Charlotte Flair or Rhea Ripley in a champion versus champion situation. Now what, is she going to immediately get her rematch and win the title back, making this whole thing feel pointless, or is she going to be moved down the card, and all that momentum she built is just gone? As far as anyone knows publicly, Jordynne still has obligations to TNA. Is she going to be pulling double duty, defending the WWE Women's Championship while also working TNA shows? Is WWE going to acknowledge TNA on their programming, or are they going to pretend Jordynne materialized out of thin air? This could either be the beginning of an incredible working relationship between two companies, or it could be a legal and logistical nightmare. What's your take? Should WWE acknowledge Jordynne's TNA history, or just present her as a new WWE signing? Let me know. How does this affect the WrestleMania Women's title picture? WrestleMania is less than 2 months away. If Jordynne Grace is the champion going into WrestleMania, who's her opponent? Does Jade get the rematch at Mania? Does someone else step up? Does WWE do a multi-woman match? And if Jordynne is going to drop the title before Mania, then what was the point of her winning it in the first place? What message does this send to the WWE women's roster? Imagine you're Bianca Belair, who's been with WWE 4 years, paid your dues in NXT, worked your way up the card, had multiple championship reigns. Or imagine you're Bayley, who's been grinding for a decade and is one of the most respected women in the industry. And then someone from another company shows up, gets a title shot in their first match, and wins. How is that supposed to make you feel? How is that supposed to motivate you to keep working hard when WWE clearly values surprise over earned? Let me be clear about something: I have nothing against Jordynne Grace as a performer. She's phenomenal. She absolutely deserves to be wrestling on the biggest stages, and her work in TNA has been consistently excellent. If WWE signed her to a full-time deal, build her up properly, and then put the title on her after a few months of establishing her in the WWE system, I'd be all for it. But this feels like WWE chasing a short-term pop at the expense of long-term storytelling. Yes, the surprise was exciting. Yes, the crowd popped huge. Yes, it got people talking. But what happens next week, and the week after that, and at WrestleMania? Here's a controversial question for you: is the surprise factor more important than logical storytelling? Or should WWE prioritize long-term booking over short-term shocks? Let's talk about what WWE should have done if they wanted to bring Jordynne Grace in as a major player. Have Jordynne debut, cut a promo about wanting to prove she's the best, work a few non-title matches against upper mid-card women, then earn a title shot. This establishes her in the WWE system, lets casual fans get to know her, and makes the eventual title win feel earned. The Royal Rumble route. Have Jordynne be a surprise entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble, make a big impression, maybe even win it, then challenge for the title at WrestleMania. This gives you the surprise factor while also giving time to build the story properly. The Forbidden Door approach. Acknowledge that Jordynne is from TNA. Make this a big interpromotional angle where the TNA Women's Champion is challenging the WWE Women's Champion. Build it as a dream match between two companies, and create something genuinely special that benefits both promotions. Instead, WWE went with the surprise, "You're champion now" approach, which creates way more problems than it solves. Which of those 3 alternative options would you have preferred? Fantasy book it in the comments now. Let's address the elephant in the room. Is this Jordynne Grace's fault? Absolutely not. She showed up, did her job, had a great match, and won a championship. If WWE offered you a title match in your debut and you won, you'd take it too. This isn't about Jordynne being undeserving or not talented enough. It's about WWE's decision-making and whether they thought through the consequences of this booking. Similarly, if the reports about Jade being unhappy are true, I completely understand where she's coming from. She's been working her butt off, she's been doing everything WWE has asked of her, she's been booked as a monster, and then to have the title taken off her with no warning in favor of someone from another company, that would be devastating. the more I think about this situation, the more it feels like WWE is trying to create WrestleMania moments and viral clips at the expense of coherent storytelling and treating their performers with respect. They want that Twitter buzz, they want those headlines, they want people sharing clips and arguing about it online. And you know what? They got all of that. Mission accomplished. But at what cost? You've potentially damaged Jade Cargill's momentum. You've created a logistical nightmare with Jordynne Grace's status. You've sent a message to your locker room that outsiders can show up and immediately win championships while homegrown talent has to scratch and claw for everything. And you've created a WrestleMania title picture that has no clear direction. Final question, and I want everyone to answer this, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this booking decision? And do you think it'll be remembered as brilliant or terrible 6 months from now? Look, I want to be proven wrong. I want Jordynne Grace's title reign to be amazing. I want WWE to have a master plan that makes all of this make sense in retrospect. I want Jade Cargill to bounce back and be fine. I want this to be the beginning of something special rather than a short-sighted decision that creates more problems than it solves. But based on WWE's track record with surprise decisions like this, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that they've thought this through. I'm skeptical that there's a long-term plan. And I'm skeptical that this benefits anyone other than WWE social media engagement numbers for 1 week. If you're as conflicted about this title change as I am, I need you to engage with this video. Like if you're excited about Jordynne Grace as champion. Dislike if you think this was a terrible decision. And absolutely flood the comments with your take on this situation, your predictions for where it goes, and your thoughts on how WWE should handle it moving forward. This is Wrestling Zone 1, where we celebrate great wrestling but aren't afraid to call out questionable booking when we see it. Jordynne Grace winning the WWE Women's Championship is either the boldest move of 2026 or a massive mistake that's going to create problems for months. Time will tell which one it is. Subscribe for more analysis of wrestling's most controversial moments, and let's see if WWE can stick the landing on this one.